And welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance and partner at NetSource Capital. I am excited about today's conversation. It is live. If you have any questions, ask away. If you are watching this after the fact, put your questions in there. Myself or Annika will watch them. Sharing knowledge and stories is why I started this. And I would like to thank a couple sponsors for this. Startup TNT, their next summit is coming up here. October 6th is the live event, which will be in, well, we'll call it Regina, Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Calgary, and Edmonton. So there'll be watch parties. Go to startuptnt.com to check it out. And also the Canadian Blockchain Consortium. Thank you so much for sponsoring. Our big Canadian Blockchain Summit is on October 19th and 20th. All these links will be in the comment section shortly. But what I want to do is get after our conversation here because Annika's been sitting there for like 30 seconds. Annika, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing, Jade?
Oh, fantastic Wednesday, a beautiful day. I'm excited about you sharing your story. And this is just, it's always excited every time I start a new conversation.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. It actually is a beautiful day here too. It's super sunny. So it's a good day to be awake and on this show.
Well, as I tell everybody, it's long overdue. I should have had you on a while ago, maybe before summer, but the best thing about, I know I love the outdoors. Our conversations was talk about you guys, your hiking and your passion for that. I love the lake. I'm back in Sask, us and our family a lot. And I know this wasn't your first kick at the cat at entrepreneurship. So why don't you share your story, how your journey started leading up to Trailcollectiv?
Yeah. Well, so my background's actually in education. So I was a physical education and French teacher. From there, I had my two kids and I started wanting to get outside with them. But I found it really hard to figure out where to go. And being a new mom, it was anxious. It was hard to try to figure it all out. So from there, I actually started to write about it. And as I started to write about it, more and more people started to ask me questions about where to go and how to do it, that I created a platform and it's called Born to be Adventurous. So Born to be Adventurous was there to inspire and empower families to get out and adventure. And that's when I started the long journey to write a hiking guidebook. So it took me 5 years because I hiked most of the trails with my kids. So I launched that in 2022 or 2020. And the feedback from that book was amazing. So it's called Hikes for Families, a guide to the Canadian Rockies with trails around Canmore, Banff, Kananaskis, and Calgary. And that's when I really thought, you know what, I want to go with an idea that I had 9 years ago. And that was to create a hiking app for families. And that led me to decide that I wanted to go for it and start creating Trailcollectiv to help families get outside and explore together and hit the trails.
So can people still buy your book?
Yeah. So my book, it's being sold in stores. I actually ran a Kickstarter to fund it. So that was really exciting. So I didn't have to cover any of the printing costs. So people can either buy it online on Amazon or in many stores. So trying to think.
Is there a link from your website?
Oh, yeah, I can. Do you want me to get it now or send it to you?
Oh, no, I put your website out there. So anybody interested in that, just click on Annika's trailcollectiv.com website in the comments section and you'll be able to check it out.
Yeah, actually, it would be at borntobeadventurous.com, the book. So that's
I will put that up there shortly. borntobeadventurous.com will be up there shortly. And everybody can buy that book. That's awesome. So did obviously you had a passion for hiking. Is that, it's more of a personal question, obviously, and I know the answer, but your passion has obviously been passed down to your kids and family, and you go all over the place. So was that kind of a force, like, as I know some of my, everybody's kids like the sports that their parents like. So was it easy, or did they kind of like just gravitate to it?
We've gone through ups and downs with our kids. We started when they were so little. So I feel like they just don't know any other way. And, my kids now, they actually, after we did the West Coast Trail last summer together, they were 6 and 8 at the time. after, I was like, oh, I hope I didn't ruin their love for this. I mean, I had an amazing time, but you never know. But then they were actually asking to do that. I think it's called the ATC, or the in the States, where it's like you do it over 6 months hike. They're like, we want to go on a 6-month hike, Mom.
Oh,
So I don't know. They just love it. And even my oldest now, she's in cross country. So she had a 1.2-kilometer run and she loved it. She did the 6-kilometer kids death race this summer. Both of the girls did, and they loved it. She said, Mom, next time I want to do, a 5-kilometer trail race at Beaver Flat 50, which is a big trail race in Saskatchewan. Yeah. So I feel like they're probably just jumping on board because my husband and I are just so jazzed about it.
Well, I mean, I assumed that was kind of the answer, but I think it's good to share, right? I mean, I can't believe you did. I heard I've never done the West Coast Trail, and I've heard that it's a grind, like a really hard hike.
It is really hard. We did it over 10 days, whereas most people do it in 5 or 6. But we had to people recommend carrying 35 pounds on your pack for that trail, just because there's so many ladders. There's 75 ladders. Some of them are, 2 stories tall, like they're very big ladders. My pack, I believe, was about 55 pounds, and my husband's was 65. It was hard. And my husband, he's an ultra runner. So I think that really helps, because on the long days, there's a few times where, it was like the last hour of hiking. And I said, I can't hike at the kids' pace right now. I'm really tired now. So I would go ahead. But that was an incredible experience. And we came away, my youngest daughter, I love these quotes, she said, this was the best obstacle course ever. She was 6. And then my oldest, who was 8, she kind of understood kind of more how challenging it was. And she looked at me and she says, Mom, thanks for believing that I could do this.
Oh, that's
awesome. That just like melted my heart just to hear that. And her and I bonded in such a special way, where we would hike and she'd be like, I'm so tired, Mom. And I'd say, you know what, me too. Like, this is really hard. And we had such good conversations. It was incredible. There was actually one day where I took her sleeping bag. So I felt like, with the clown cars where all the clowns are coming out. It's like I had 4 different sleeping bags that I was pulling out, and 4 different mattresses coming out. But then she saw me the next day stuffing all of it in, and she said, Mom, I'll take my sleeping bag. And I said, no, it's okay. Like, I know it's been really hard. And she says, no, Mom, I know it's really hard for you too. Let me take my sleeping bag. So just kind of, awesome. It's just this nice, it's hard to describe how nice it is for the family.
No, well, I mean, and we're a family that hikes once in a while, right? And which is kind of sad, because we're literally 45 minutes away from probably some of the best hikes in the world. I would guess, right? So, who is your app for? Like, when people log on, is it for, people like us, for the average person, or is it for a beginner, or can, somebody like yourself and your family, go all the way up to that expert level, we'll call it?
Yeah, so right now it's really focused on families that are either beginner or kind of the average hiker. But we are eventually going to be moving into the more advanced hikers. So like for me, when I go and I look on the app now, and a woman, in interior BC is adding some incredible backcountry hikes, I'm starting to think and say, whoa, this is awesome, because now I know where to go, and now I have all the information here, because this woman who has kids also did this trail. So it's getting really exciting for me as well to use the app. Or even certain things, like we were driving through BC, and I looked on the app, and someone had put a trail in where it was a short trail, so it would have been a great stop for just to stretch the legs. And it took you right to a waterfall. But at the end was a spray park. So not only can you enjoy a short little, 2-kilometer walk to a waterfall, but you can also enjoy a spray park and a picnic if that's where you want to stop for lunch on the road.
Oh, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. Spray party. It's almost like there's like a little prize at the end of the course.
Exactly. I know. I was like, who decided of this hike here? That's amazing. So it was, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that's
So I
really
get,
where we set kind of separate ourselves is we want parents to know, and as we build out, so this is our MVP, but as we build out, we want parents to know, like, you do this hike, but then here's this playground that's nearby, or this interpretive center that's really cool, so that we can help families kind of plan the whole experience instead of just, the hike that they're going on.
I really like that. I mean, it's as our kids are a little older now, and most of the time they don't want to stop or things along those lines. But when we were little and heading out to the lake and in lake country or whatever, you'd stop at all the normal things, right? You're that old Flintstone things by Revelstoke, the sky track there, climbing on the ropes, and you'd hit that. But it would be nice to know of all these little hidden gems out there, right? It's no different than your kind of my goal when I traveled was not to eat at a chain. I wanted to eat at mom and pop restaurants. So I guess that's kind of the same thing.
Totally. And you know what? I was looking, so there's this lady near Chicago, and she's been adding a bunch of trails. And one of the trails that she added in, it was so cool. At the end of it, she puts, and check out this really great pizza place. It's called blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh, if I'm there, that's where I'm going for pizza.
Well, exactly. I mean, there's so many good restaurants out there, right? You can only eat at Boston Pizza so often.
Yeah. And you know what? My husband and I laugh at this because one of the things, especially before kids and even after, we loved going for that hike, but then we like going out for the beer and the fries at the end, or we like going out for the ice cream, or we like, having somewhere else that's really fun to go. And so when people can tell you a different place instead of McDonald's, it's kind of nice.
Oh, God. It's just I'm so tired of Rotten Ronnie's. I'm happy our girls have grown out of that. No, I mean, I still like it myself every now and then. Don't get me wrong, but I do agree with you
Yeah.
on that.
Pokemon cards and the Happy Meal recently were a big hit with kids, though.
Exactly. So, I mean, I've heard you talk about obviously, the people are out there, they're adding to your, to the app and, a family on it, they'll share their story, they'll share their experience, which is the best way to learn about new things that are in that area. So are you able to, I'm going to play a little video as you're talking, but are you able to explain, how your app works for people?
Yeah, so basically it's super simple. You can go in and you can do either trails near me, or you can search by location or specific trail. So all your trails come up, and then it shows you, maybe the little adventures that are there, the kilometers and elevation and how hard it is. And then you can go into the trail, you can see what the trail offers. So if it's all terrain stroller accessible, if there's pit toilets, any of the safety information as well. We have a trail path, and right now we don't have offline use, but this is something we're working to. But if you're in service, you can actually follow yourself along the line to make sure you're on the right path. Here you can also, I love this. So you can complete a trail, so it gets added to your profile, and you can add any personal notes. So you might say, I hiked it with my 2 kids, or I hiked it alone. And if you want to contribute to the community, you can update trail conditions, and that automatically gets updated. So yeah, and then we also have a map view. So if you want to kind of see where the trails are, they kind of slowly pop up as you're kind of going through. We also have a different rating system. So we have easiest, easy, moderate, and hard and hardest. And that's really to separate those 2 kilometers, with minimal elevation from the other longer trails that, might be easy, but still not super easy, because we really wanted to highlight those. And a lot of those easiest trails just don't exist on other platforms, but they're so worthy to be mentioned, because that's what a lot of, toddlers can do, or it's really a great place if you want to just go for a short wander before you go for dinner. Or, there's a lot of different abilities of people out there. A lady who has cerebral palsy really struggles to get out, and she wants to know, is there no elevation, and how hard will it actually be? So that's kind of where Trailcollectiv really stands, and that's where we're putting our kind of foot in the whole landscape within hiking apps.
And how easy is it for somebody? So, we go out there, and I'm just going to use Johnson Canyon because it's probably the biggest hiked out, around our area anyway, right? So obviously if someone goes out there, they find Johnson Canyon, but say they find a new one, how easy is it to enter for someone like myself, or are there any incentives for them to enter the hike they just did if it's not there?
Yeah, so hikes can be added in your profile. Usually people put their Instagram handle so that one, you can kind of have that your name is actually going to be on the trail so that people can find you, ask you questions, maybe follow you. And it's also a way for us to connect with you if we need extra information. I usually say the first trail is the hardest to add because it's a learning curve. It doesn't take that long, but, we want to make sure that our information is super high quality. So we're probably going to reach out to you because we want to make it the best information possible. And then from there, it's super fast to enter in the information once you know how. The lady out in Chicago, she's now added, several trails, and now I can easily just glance over them because her information is so good and she just knows how to add it in very well. Yeah, and then in terms of incentives, we really love our trail contributors. They're like the biggest part of our community, and they're often the experts, the family experts. And so we really value what they bring to Trailcollectiv. And so, we give out perks like stickers, swag. Sometimes if someone's like a really big contributor, they get to use the app for free. And we just like to work with you, and we want to promote you as well. So if you're someone who has a website or blog or an Instagram or a TikTok, we want to work with you and promote you and help you grow and just support you in what you're doing. We really believe in collaboration over competition, and we're just excited to just have those people part of our community.
No, I think that's awesome, right? Creating that community. And I think it's so important, right? I mean, again, this is, my opinion of it. When I want to go out there and I have kids, and I want to make sure that I'm going to do a hike that's not going to make them, I don't know. Again, like you said, hate hiking. Did I ruin it for them? Was it too hard? Like, was there, maybe they want to see a waterfall, right? Or something along those lines. Is there a way that your app says, oh yeah, there's going to be a waterfall at this point or that point, and really explains it?
Yeah, so we're going to work on adding in, points so you can know where. A lot of it is just telling people what to expect on the trail or about when. So that's kind of where you will get that information. One thing that really we stand out on is there might be a really long trail that people are more familiar with. But what they don't know is that 2 kilometers in, there's a cable car crossing that is really fun too. So that will be our hike. It'll be the cable car will be like the destination. So it's a 2-kilometer trail, but that's like you get to go across the cable car and back. And so those are kind of the highlights that we try to focus on. Or bridges. Kids love crossing bridges and love when there's interesting things to do. So we try to highlight and say, you know what, there are bridges on this trail, but maybe there's 8 bridges that you can go across as you're doing it. So that's kind of where we try to highlight those adventures. And as we kind of move forward with development, we'll kind of work with our community to see what do they want to see more of and what more detailed information and how do they want it presented.
And how are you getting the word out there? I mean, obviously marketing is something. So this is more for, for our other entrepreneurs out there that are probably, listening and struggling, and everybody, needs to learn something. So as someone who has to get it as a, to consumer type product, how are you getting it out there? How are people hearing about you? Have you had to spend, has there been you don't have to say how much you spend, but is it starting? Did you spend a little early, and has it really gone into organic now that people have understood and have heard of Trailcollectiv?
We are working on a plan to start spending money on marketing. We haven't actually done that yet. So we've been very fortunate. But that partly has to do with my co-founder and I have a pretty large presence within the outdoor family space. So she has over 105,000 social media followers on her platform alone. I have, between TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, over 40,000 followers with a strong mailing list. So that's really where we are connecting with. And I think it even goes beyond our own platforms. We're very well connected with influencers across Canada, the USA, and the world. And so I mean, it's just such an awesome community. People have been so willing to share. People have been willing to get the word out. We just feel very fortunate that we've built those connections already. Even, a group like, they're called Kids Who Explore, and they're 70,000 followers, and they've just been so supportive of us and helping us get out the word. Their co-founders are amazing. So we just have a really great community that's backing us up right now. And so we feel very fortunate.
I love that because I hate the I word, right? I mean, it's I've had a lot of bad experiences with them, and a lot have. I'm not going to put everybody in the same thing, but it's something that I love hearing, that if somebody's in that hiking community and they are an influencer and they do want to promote something that's good, and good for the family, good for everything, right? Your health, it doesn't matter what it is. So I'm very happy to hear that some of these communities and influencers are really working with you to promote your product, because again, I mean, they can make a difference, and especially on a positive side.
Yeah. And we really hope to especially develop further, referral programs, because we believe that will really help us out, because we want to be able to give back to them as well. And so we kind of see that as a soon to be future add on to what we can provide, just to kind of encourage that as well.
Anytime you're encouraging, I mean, again, I mean, our family went through a little bit of a crisis during COVID, and probably as did a lot of people, right? And getting out there and doing something together and being with the family and working on your, not only your physical health, your mental health, your family health, everything along those lines. Like, it's got to be so gratifying when you see all these pictures of families and great reviews of your platform. Like, how does that make you feel?
It's overwhelming. It's really exciting. I think I didn't, I knew how much the outdoors can impact myself and my family. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it even when I was a teacher in getting my high school students outside and being active, just how powerful that was, especially in building confidence in young girls. I did fitness classes for girls. So that's kind of where my perspective is coming from.
Yeah.
But then now, just even some of, letters I'll get or messages I'll get on how people find this so valuable. When I had my hiking book, when it came out, and it's been out for a couple of years now, I've had, a woman reach out to me, people say, thank you for this. I now know where to go. There's those comments, but then there's comments, of a woman who says, I quit smoking, became more active, and I'm enjoying hanging out with my family because of, I know where to go, and other, dads said, I didn't think it was possible to go hiking with my kids. And now they're, they have something to do with them and it's enjoyable. And I think people, there's this misconception, especially in the hiker world, where it's like this privilege. You have to be a certain fitness and you have to be, a certain level to go hiking. And this isn't a hike because it's too easy, but this is a hike, or this is a better hike because it's more extreme. And we're really moving away from that and saying, no, you know what? That 1 kilometer trail to the forest, to that waterfall, or, around that lake, that is a hike, and you are going hiking. And from there, you can build up, and you can stay the same. It doesn't matter. Getting outside and being active and healthy and enjoying those benefits of the outdoors is what it's all about.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I mean, just being out there and being part of, teaching your kids good habits and healthy habits and things like that, right? So again, and hiking, especially people here, in Calgary, where we have, like I said, access to, I don't even know how many. You could probably say, you might even, I mean, you might even lowball the number of how many hikes are out there. But I can't tell you, when you're driving out to Kananaskis, or if you're driving out to, you'll just see cars parked in the ditch, and you're like, well, apparently there's a hike here.
Yeah.
Like, there's no signs, there's no nothing. There's 20 cars parked in the ditch, and you're like, okay, this is probably a pretty cool hike.
Yeah, exactly. You know, by the number of cars.
Exactly, right? And if you're just driving, you would never know that. So it's good to have, an app like Trailcollectiv, to understand and find these little hidden gems.
Yeah, totally. And I always say one of the things I love is, like bar hopping, when you would go to different pubs or pub hopping. Our family really loves hike hopping.
Hike
So
coffee.
you do one easy hike and you're like, oh, that wasn't too bad. And then you go do another one or another one. And now you've done 3 hikes, but you feel like you go hike hopping. It's fun.
That's it's a better probably more fun than bar hopping. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
different fun, I guess.
yeah. Healthier too.
Yeah, healthier fun. Probably a few hours rather than a happy one day and then a bad next day type
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. You'll feel good the next day. So
Exactly. So, we've talked about what your app is and how it works and where people can download it. Again, it's on the App Store. Go to trailcollectiv.com. You click on it in the comment section. Annika's book, Born to be Adventurous, .com. Check that out. So, what's next for Trail Collective?
yeah, we are really just working on building out our community. So we are heavily focused in Western Canada right now. So we'll keep on improving the trails there. And now we are looking to expand. So we're actually just under, the discussions and the debates of, where do we go in the States to start heavily gathering trails?
Right.
Or, do we go out to Western Canada? So that's kind of where we are at in community building.
So, I guess what would you be leaning towards? Put you on the spot.
Ooh, we have a surprising number of people on our subscriber list in California.
Oh,
Yeah, so California is one, but we're also looking to maybe a place like Chicago, since we already have a community that's starting to build out there. And those are two very different ones. And so the debate goes, do you go to a place that maybe is lesser known for their trails, but they maybe need that trail information? Or do we go to
right.
somewhere there is a higher population of people who are hiking and getting outside and go there? So those are kind of two of our debates right now.
Yeah. Well, I know, actually, Kat, my wife just flew down to LA for the weekend concert over Labor Day weekend, and her brother lives there, and they did 2 hikes. So,
Oh, cool.
and, I don't have a bad, obviously, apparently a bad brain fart didn't tell her to do anything, but that's, I don't know why.
Yeah,
My
we
fault.
we have key destinations. So like Joshua Tree, we have a bunch of
Yeah.
trails there, we've got Arches National Park. So that's like another thing that we'll continue to do is really go heavily around some key destinations where people go so that when they go on their trips, they're able to easily find hikes in those spots.
No, that's all. And I mean, wherever you go, I'm sure it's going to be great, and people will, obviously benefit from knowing what you're putting out there, knowing how easy it is, knowing that they can take their kids regardless of their age. I mean, just bring your carrier in case one gets tired. You just never know.
Yeah, exactly. And bring treats for the
And
end. So you can
lots
finish
of
that
treats.
500 meters.
Oh no, that's where I'm going to throw in. Check out another really good entrepreneurial startup here, Seven Summit Snacks. They have a lot of, they're
Yeah.
based out of Edmonton. A great female-founded company that creates those. Even if it melts, you can actually. It's got great packaging. I've tried it, and you can use it. So
That's
a
the
nice little
chocolate,
product.
right? The
Yes,
chocolate?
exactly. Right.
So
She's a
my kids loved that chocolate and they got it at the death race and I wanted to take it because I didn't think they'd like it because it had some, extra flavor in it, but then they liked it. I was disappointed. I was excited for them, but disappointed for myself.
It is very, very good. And
So good.
God, I think it's Kristen that's the actual chocolatier, right? So she's trained and it's really, really good.
Oh,
I
cool.
know I mean, I would say, yeah, I'm going to use it for squash, but I would just find eating it during the day because it's so good.
It is so good.
Exactly. So before we go here, Annika, and again, I wanted to thank you for spending time with us and sharing your story. I always love hearing. You've gone, multiple different startups, and you've had different things, and you've been doing this for a while. So I love hearing, hearing this advice. So if you had one piece of advice for a founder or startup, what would that be?
Always, don't do it. No, just kidding. I like to think it's such a hard.
Let me write that down. Right, I've never had anybody say that.
I think just, push through those barriers. It's going to feel impossible, but just keep on pushing through it and build up your community, like get connected with people in your community because I feel so lucky being connected with Startup TNT and Cultivator and just, having that community around you is just inspiring and a good support.
I couldn't agree more with that answer, right? I mean, we talk about the power of the network, and sometimes that gets left behind because people think it's not important. But we talk about it, even a post last week that I put out there, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. You're not alone, right? There's always someone out there, and you don't have to pay for this advice. Someone will sit down with you, whether it's me or whoever, and say, yeah, you know what? I've got time to sit down for an hour and I've run the gauntlet. I understand entrepreneurship. I get it. I understand the struggles. So having someone there just to bounce things off of, it's so important. And I always love hearing that, right? When someone says, know what, get out there, make yourself vulnerable as again, I've had coffee with Brene Brown. I mean, that was fluky, but it
That's
was,
amazing.
it was pretty cool, right? Like
Yeah, I'm
it's something
jealous.
it was way before she was as popular as she is now.
That's so
So
cool.
but again, if you don't reach out and connect to people, you're never going to know, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that support, it can be a lonely road, especially at the beginning of a startup. So
absolutely. And that's great advice. And I'm glad that you have a great support network around you. And TNT is probably one of the best that, that I've been a part of, over the last 2.5, 3 years. I mean, it's just fantastic, what they are doing and how they bring together and make those. And, even before that, that's one of the reasons why I started Founders Coffee, right? Just to we had 21 people there yesterday. Again, it's founders just being able to talk to one another, just knowing that there's a support network there for them. That's a safe haven. They're not going to get sold and all this shit like that. So it's so important.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, again, Annika, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story. I really appreciate it. And I hope you yourself and everybody that's watching here has a fantastic day.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Jade.
Oh, anytime. I look forward to our next conversation, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.